This is Jacob Chansley. If you're unfamiliar, he's also known as the QAnon Shaman. He was at the Capitol on January 6th, and he made a mess of everything and ended up in prison for it for a while. What did he? I think he got sentenced like 40-something months, basically 4 years or something, and he just got out. Okay, well, I wanted to watch one of his older interviews on the anniversary of January 6th. So this is 2022, January 6th, 2022, when this interview came out. It's with Channel 5. It's so fascinating to listen to his headspace when he was in prison for Donald Trump. Seriously, in prison for Donald Trump. This is not part one. If you haven't seen the other, don't sweat it. This stands independently of the rest. I'll provide context if it's missing. If you want to see which part this is, it should be in the title. So anyway, let's give this a listen, see what he has to say for himself. And while we do, we're going to play some Breath of the Wild too.
Are you allowed to talk about January 6th?
I'm not going to talk about that. I've been advised by my lawyers just to leave that situation alone.
Wise decision. Yeah, that's wise. Wise counsel by a lawyer. Absolutely, you shouldn't talk about that when you're still in jail. Certainly not on the phone, in the jail phone, because everything is being recorded right now on the jail phone. You guys remember Kent Hovind? As a matter of fact, this is a good opportunity to show you what I mean. Kent Hovind went to prison for being a sovereign citizen, like fighting and lying. He didn't file taxes for 20 years. 20 years. Lied about it and twisted things around and claimed that there was this loophole. All of this was supported and bolstered by his friend David Barton, another sovereign citizen. People that don't believe that, like, you legally have to pay taxes if you don't ever start. It's nonsense. Of course you do. You live in a society. Anyways, Kent Hovind learned this the hard way, that every single thing that you say on a jail phone is recorded by the jail and is given to the prosecution. Every single word you say is recorded. That's how we came to have all of those recordings. They were made public in his criminal trial.
If you put me in jail for 5 years, then yes, I'm going to keep going after you, because you've done wrong. But I just want to be left alone. I don't want to fight you anymore.
So this is him saying he's going to fight the IRS. Scientology did the same thing, personally suing IRS agents individually in an attempt to make them stop fighting him on whatever. That's veiled threats.
Please, let me out of here, drop this case, leave us alone, and go away. Well,
see, the thing is, he owed $2 million. And you know what? Like, the IRS doesn't want you in jail. Because if you're in jail, you're not going to pay. It's the same reason I hate to make this comparison, because I honestly have no problem with paying tax. In fact, I appreciate that, you have to pay taxes in a society. That's just part of the deal. But it's kind of like the mob. Like, the mob doesn't want somebody dead. If they're dead, they can't pay them back, right? So, anyways, they don't want you in jail. They will do literally anything to keep you out of jail. The IRS will. Anything, whatever it takes. Because, you're not generating revenue for them if you're in jail. They want you out of jail and generating revenue for them. So, anyways, Kent Hovind owed $2 million to the IRS and refused to pay it. They had a forensic accountant go through all of his stuff, tear his life apart. And over the course of 20 years, he owed $2 million because he didn't pay a dime on all of those seminar series that he made money from and everything. And so he ends up in jail after refusing to pay for 20 years and finally calls his family members and asks them to help him cover the tracks, basically, from a jail phone. Genius.
The beast or the buffalo gets the idea, well, once the lion gets on my back, I might as well just hold still, let him eat me. He's not going to live very long.
I mean, they were all veiled threats. Anyway, point is, don't say anything on a jail phone that you don't want repeated or that you don't want the prosecution to have. Sage advice from this guy's lawyer. Keep your mouth shut about January 6th. Honestly, he shouldn't have talked to this guy at all. Certainly not on a jail phone.
But
Do you, are you allowed to talk about January 6th?
I'm not going to talk about that. I've been advised by my lawyers just to leave that situation alone.
Intelligent. His lawyer should have told him no communication with any reporters of any kind, no matter what, honestly, from jail phones. Quick interjection. I won't take long. I just wanted to tell you guys, YouTube's algorithm operates off of a few factors. Watch time, whether or not you subscribe, and whether or not you like something. So if you really want to help my channel, I would appreciate it if you guys watch the video to the end. If you don't watch it to the end, just watch a little bit longer than you would have otherwise. I would appreciate that very much. All right, let's get back to the video.
Okay, well, I guess, do you feel like Trump should have done more to help you?
Well, I feel about Trump the way that I felt about him throughout the 4 years of his presidency. I mean, it's changed slightly with his support of these vaccines, but he took...
It's changed with his support of the vaccines. Wow.
The deep state and the corrupt bureaucracy and the corrupt media on head-to-head. He went toe-to-toe with them, and he did that, I think, for the American people and for America in general. I think that took courage and strength.
Took courage and strength. Dude, this is sad. This dude... I feel like I don't use the word very often, but I feel like the word cuck applies here, right? I mean, I feel like it's the perfect word to describe what we're witnessing right now. Just sad.
But there's other things where it's like, I look, you know, he built the border wall went through a sacred Native American burial ground. They blew up a sacred Native American burial ground on the southern border of Arizona, just so they could put a wall through it. And
okay, and?
to me, that's akin to blowing up a veteran's graveyard. I think Trump should have fired Fauci when he had the chance, as opposed to giving him the microphone, as opposed to pushing vaccines and Operation Warp Speed as the greatest achievement of mankind. And once again, coming to your question, I think he could have and should have been there for more of the J6 people.
Oh, absolutely. Trump totally could. I mean, I don't think he should have been. I'm glad that Trump kind of screwed them over, but he totally could have pardoned them before leaving office. Why didn't he do a blanket pardon? You can do blanket pardons. Jimmy Carter pardoned anybody who was supposed to go to Vietnam and refused the draft or protested or whatever. It was a big blanket pardon for anybody who did not want to partake in the Vietnam War. It's totally doable. Why didn't Trump just blanket pardon anybody affiliated with the January 6th stuff? You know why? He never cared about them. He just wanted to use them to his advantage and then walk away. That's why.
I think he should have been more outspoken. In all honesty, I honestly think he should have given all the nonviolent offenders a pardon, personally. But at the same time, I try to understand his reasoning for all that, you know. And
no, there's no good reason except he just didn't care about them, honestly.
I know that I don't know everything, and I have
don't seem to know anything.
To respect and appreciate what it is that he has done for the American people, even if I don't always agree with him or see eye to eye.
Right. You know, one thing I think about January 6th in the media, it's very strange to me that people took you, and in the media, especially right-wing media, made it seem like you were some sort of crisis actor hired by Antifa.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right-wing media pretended that the QAnon shaman was, what would you call it, like a plant, an FBI plant, to make the movement look crazy. No, the movement's just crazy. That's simple.
To make people look dumb.
All I can say is, for part of me was like, that's hilarious, because anybody that really knows me knows that's not true. Another part of me is like, okay, this is a perfect example of how it is that the truth gets smeared. You know, the fact of the matter is I'm not Antifa. I'm not Black Lives Matter. And the fact of the matter is when I was marching at the Black Lives Matter and the Antifa protests in Phoenix, I wasn't marching with them. I was marching with the police. I'm a perfect example of how they neurolinguistically program people through the use of images, through the use of trigger words.
Okay, I talked about this before. It's effectively fake for all intents and purposes. It doesn't actually work, but the belief is that NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is this thing where you can subliminally program somebody by giving them little hints. You know, if you blink your eye at the right moment, then it subtly sways people to make decisions that you want them to make or whatever. Subliminal programming is what NLP is. And it was studied by scientists and determined to be fake. It's not real. It doesn't actually do what these people think it does. NLP is not real. That's the bottom line. And claiming that it is like this is absurd and embarrassing and sad.
And through the use of trigger images. And as far as I'm concerned, you need to be the change that you want to see in the world. You need to be the one that's the leader.
Such an empty platitude, but sure, I suppose.
You know, I think that imagine this, for example. We have a capital in every city, in every state, and in every country all over the world. Imagine if every single person that was dedicated to the truth and to getting the truth out to the people met at their capital every single Saturday at noon. So this is our historical window of opportunity where, you know, where we can all gather together, you know, nonviolently at our local capitals where we can.
Sure. People could, if they chose, meet nonviolently and protest. But see, that's the thing. Your movement is not that popular. It's not popular enough to get the types of numbers you would need to give your protest any level of legitimacy.
We can organize by default. We can change the dialogue. We can, you know, moralize by default. We can change our collective thought patterns by default. This idea of every Saturday at noon at your local capital, it organizes people by default. It changes.
Not only that, but it would take the stigma away from, you know, pulling up to the Capitol. If we pulled up to the Capitol, our own capitals every week, just like,
exactly.
Hey, we're here.
Oh my God, dude! It's so sad.
Exactly.
And then that way.
Think about the way. Oh, go ahead.
That way, you can't say, "Hey, they went to the Capitol. They're terrorists." You say, "They went to the Capitol. That's what they're supposed to do. That's what we always do."
Right. And think about how that would change the collective thought patterns. And think about this. Imagine if
God, he muted and he's laughing at this. I mean, it's an absurd thing to say and think. I mean, he doesn't believe this. Andrew Callahan doesn't. Andrew Callahan, I believe, is on the left. He's progressive, to my knowledge. But, you know, that's the kind of thing the Q Shaman believes. Seriously.
Every Saturday at the Capitol at noon, people gathered together and they burned their vax cards, or they burned their vaccine passports, or they burned their masks. Very similar to what like Gandhi did in South Africa with the passes that the Indians were forced to carry, but no British citizen was supposed to carry or forced to carry. Okay, imagine if everybody refused to socially distance, if everybody was praying or singing, dancing, and socializing, or basically going back to normal. If actually better than normal, because now we're all united. You know, imagine if at these locations people were talking about Tesla coils and zero-point energy engines. Look at people like Gandhi, look at people like Martin Luther King Jr. and stuff like that. Even look at what happened in the USSR, where everybody gave the communists the finger and said, we're not working for you, we're not working with you, and the USSR fell.
This dude is gone. So he's just saying he wants the country to get more politically involved, I guess, is the whole thing here, right?
Right. So I want to go back to something you talked about, and it's the idea of nonviolent rebellion. And I'm of the belief that you are a truly nonviolent person. But with a lot of these, with a lot of these large events, like large protests, large rallies, I think that there's going to be a lot of bad seeds that are in the mix, and that isn't referring to a specific event, just in general, you know. And I think that it becomes harder to police and expel violent people from your movement as tensions are high and numbers grow. You know, like if you go to a Trump rally, right, anywhere.
Oh, this is footage of, if you're not watching, you're just listening, this is footage of the Capitol on January 6th, the J6 people putting up a noose, putting up like a gallows.
There is people there who are nonviolent, but there's also people who are just there to, you know, beat the shit out of the opposition and just go there and use these movements as an outlet.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people there to cause problems, absolutely.
For their hatred. How do you feel about that?
Well, this is something I think that is really important because we can use a certain event, I'll just say that, we can use a certain event that happened to learn.
What? Could he be some certain event? I'm lost.
I'll just say that. We can use a certain event that happened to learn, okay? If there's some sort of violence happening, do not contribute to it. Back away from the violent person and allow authorities to handle it. Then you're not associated with the violence at all. I also think that things like prayer are very, very important at these places. I don't know if you know, but there was this group that did like an experiment where in Washington, D.C., they gathered together, I think it was like once a week, for an hour, and they meditated and focused on the idea of nonviolence and peace and love. And the crime rates in Washington, D.C. dropped by like 25 to 35%.
Yeah, completely made up. I would be willing to bet. I haven't seen these statistics, but something I can be 100% sure of, the statistics that I have seen, is that prayer does not work to moderate or correct or whatever societal ills. That is a solution to a moral panic that, religious nutcases offer. And it's a solution with no teeth. It doesn't do anything for anybody. If you want to solve these problems, you do it through policy, not through prayer. Like people praying for children that die in attacks on schools. I don't want your prayer. I want you to do something about it. I want you to care enough to try to solve the problem,
Nonviolent rebellion is the only thing that has ever created some sort of long-lasting change. Like what Gandhi said, dude, a victory attained by violence is tantamount to a defeat.
For sure. Do you have any regrets?
Dude, when you're sitting in a cell for 22 hours a day, you have all sorts of regrets, far beyond the ones that landed you in that cell. Okay, you think about everything you've ever done in your life that you're like, man, I screwed up there.
Yeah, what else are you going to do? You don't, you can't, do anything. And this dude was in 22-hour lockdown, I think he said. He said 22, and he also said 20. So I don't know how long he was in lockdown, but, no communication with anybody, even people in your pod that are nearby. Can't even talk to them. It's bad.
I screwed up there. I messed up here. I wish I would have said that. I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have kissed her. I wish I would have shown up. I wish I would have done this. You know what I'm saying? You pick yourself apart like no other. But the thing is that after all this time in solitary, they did it to break me. But what it did is it made me. All this pressure, the FBI breathing down my neck, the DOJ prosecuting.
It made me, he says.
Me, the media spewing their lies, my previous counsel totally abhorrently misrepresenting me, saying I'm retarded and, delusional and schizophrenic and all this stuff.
Well, I mean, his previous counsel is trying to get him out of this by saying he had a mental defect that needed to be addressed. And honestly, I agree. I don't think he's schizophrenic. I don't think he's, got any mental disability or anything like that. But he needs mental help dramatically, immediately. The guy isn't here's the scary thing, right? People talk about shootings or attacks or whatever, and they say, wow, we have a mental health crisis in the U.S. That's the thing. We don't. Well, I mean, we do, but that's not what's causing this. Look at Nicholas Cruz. You watch the video of that. He's the Parkland attacker. You watch the video of him in his interrogation interview or whatever. He wasn't mentally ill. He didn't have schizophrenia. He didn't have bipolar disorder or anything. Nothing. To my knowledge, he was diagnosed with nothing. That's the scary thing about it. People that are 100% without any kind of mental conditions of any sort believe all this crazy stuff and commit atrocities as a result. If you can convince somebody of something, they will do something psychotic for you. That's the scary thing about this. You don't have to have, you know, I don't know what the proper word is to use, so I'm just going to say this, and it can be censored later if need be. You don't have to have mental retardation to believe this stuff, to be absolutely unglued from reality. That's the scary thing about it. But his lawyer, his previous lawyer, who he apparently allegedly fired, it sounds like he was doing the right thing for the guy, trying to get him into a mental institution. He wouldn't have served less time. He would have served the same amount of time. He just would have received the help that he so desperately needs.
All the while I'm in solitary confinement. I can't do anything about it. I can't express myself. I can't talk to the press.
Yeah, I don't like solitary at all. We shouldn't have that at all, ever, in my opinion.
No, the pressure was unbelievable, but it turned me into what David Goggins calls anti-fragile, or almost like a spiritual diamond.
Would you say unbreakable, maybe, like my arm?
Goggins calls anti-fragile, or almost like a spiritual diamond of sorts, where all that pressure didn't break me. It made me a better, stronger, more spiritual person.
How do you...
Okay, I don't think being more spiritual is virtuous or advantageous, but I can appreciate people who feel unbreakable because of the experiences that they've had. I can appreciate that, for sure.
How do you think that you'll be remembered by history?
Poorly, I think. He's going to be remembered like a fucking nutcase, like the nutcase that he is.
Well, I'm not done yet.
Right. So what's the plan? What comes next? Like, do you have any plans for whenever you get out?
Oh yeah, I'm going to write an autobiography. I'd like to make movies. I'd like to make music. I want to.
To my knowledge, you're not legally allowed to profit off of crimes that you've committed. So writing an autobiography, he'll be very limited in what he's allowed to say and do for legal reasons. He may not be allowed to make money off the book, depending on what he says in it and stuff.
Make some more of my paintings.
We should make music, dude.
Oh, dude, I'm down. Dude,
we should make a first day out.
Dude.
First day out video. It's like in rap, whenever rappers get out of jail. Not that you have to rap, but they do a first day out freestyle. You should do something like that, but it's like you drop a music video your first day out of prison.
That would be cool.
It would go crazy.
That would be awesome, dude. I'd totally do it, bro. And I'd work with whoever could help me with that, you know.
We will help you with that.
I also want to start my own church.
Yeah. Sadly, this guy is a celebrity in the movement now, and this might be something that he could do. This is like Kanye starting a church. Like, these people desperately need help. Please stop encouraging them.
Yeah. Going back to the music thing, do you know
He's like, yeah, okay.
How to freestyle rap at all?
I'm a poet. I'm not a rapper. I could probably learn to rap, but I'm much better when it comes to singing than rapping.
Do you think you could sing something for us?
Oh God.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah, dude, I can get so freaking loud, bro.
So I guess he's into screamo, apparently.
I can get so loud you have no idea.
Did you just freak anybody out in your pod?
I don't know, probably. Dude, I can...
He's in solitary, right? So he's not allowed to, like, see or be around anybody else. So he has no idea if... He's not in a pod where people hang out. Or where people are around or can hear him or whatever, I don't think. That's really rough, man. I'm sorry. I just don't believe in solitary confinement under any circumstances unless the person is explicitly and specifically requesting it. Solitary is cruel and unusual punishment. It's wrong.
I can go for miles. If I'm in the right spot, you can hear me for miles.
I can't believe your lawyer said you were retarded. That's so whack.
Yeah, it's to say the least. He abhorrent.
Well, I don't know that he said that. I think he was trying to get the guy help the help that he needs.
Partly misrepresented me and was extremely inaccurate. But, you know, I think as people listen to me speak, they begin to see the truth is quite the opposite. So that's why I encourage people, you know, to do their own research, because that's really the only way. I mean, like, seriously, if all people would have had to do to know the truth about me and who I really am, that I'm not a deep state actor, that I'm, you know, not mentally ill, that, you know, that I had nothing to do with BLM or Antifa, all they would have to do is would have had to go to my Rumble, go to my BitChute, and read my book.
Right. So what media outlets do you trust?
Oh, dude, I don't really. I search so many media outlets. I search so many sources before I ever come to a conclusion about anything. But look, I want to keep talking to you, but unfortunately I do have to go. I got to give my family a call because of the holiday and such. But if you want, we can.
Because it's a holiday? It was January 6th when he did this interview, I thought. Or maybe he just released it on the anniversary of the holiday? I don't know. What a weird thing to... Does he view January 6th as a holiday? Is that what he's saying? Oh, please tell me that's what he believes.
You can do another interview, bro. I can always call you back.
Yeah, I'm down. So I was wondering, like, I have this friend named Kelly who I was telling you about, who we're making a documentary on. And, yeah, I kind of want you to meet him.
Okay, cool. Then we'll definitely work it out, and we'll definitely do something, man. Thanks, Channel 5, for having me on, man, and I hope to be on once again. It's been a pleasure, like, beyond what it's been before. You know, the questions you asked were fan-frickin-tastic, and I hope to do this again. Thank you so much, Andrew, and, you know, God bless you, and God bless America, and God bless the world.
God, that just so sad. Just so unglued from reality.
Yeah, God bless you too, man. Let's keep in touch. Anytime you call, I'll answer.
Yes, sir. God bless, man. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Sounds good, man.
Bye.
All right.
Oops. Yeah, that was the entire interview. Honestly, it shows the guy's mental state. It's really sad. Again, this guy's out of jail now. This is like a couple-year-old interview, I think. And he's given a recent interview with, God, I don't know why I keep wanting to call her Gloria Steinberg, but it's Allison Steinberg, not Gloria. Maybe I'm thinking Gloria Steinem. I don't know. Anyway, it's sad, man. It's so sad to see somebody so propagandized and brainwashed like this. You got to feel for him, right? Like, you've got to feel for his family who are suffering because this guy has made bizarre, terrible, horrific, sad choices, right? Got to feel for them. Their facility to believe is mirrored by their denial of true evidence. It never ceases to amaze me. Well, since you mentioned that, let me just tell you about this. There's this book called When Prophecy Fails, written by Leon Festinger, okay? And this book was the introduction to the concept of cognitive dissonance. If you're unfamiliar with the term, cognitive dissonance is when somebody believes something in the face of evidence that proves it wrong. Cognitive dissonance, according to Leon Festinger, the scientist that wrote this book and the things that he discovered, cognitive dissonance is like a stress and anxiety in your chest that you can't get rid of. But there are 4 ways, I believe, in which people attempt to rid themselves of this stress, this pain, this anxiety that they're experiencing because of, you know, their beliefs being incongruent with what they know, with reality, with what they see around them. One of the main ways that they do this, they alleviate this stress, if you will, is evangelize to others. If they can evangelize to other people and convince others of their position, convince them that they're correct about it, the stress, the anxiety that is cognitive dissonance will dissipate. There are a number of different ways that people address this this stress that they experience, but that's one of the main ones. I don't remember I wish I remembered what the other 4 are, or the other 3, I mean. Maybe I can look it up. Let me just read a little bit of this Wikipedia article real quick. Not going to jump in the middle of it. Cognitive dissonance theory proposes people seek psychological consistency between their expectations of life and the existential reality of the world. To function by that expectation of existential consistency, people continually reduce their cognitive dissonance in order to align their cognitions or their perceptions of the world with their actions. So they will try to align their actions with their beliefs, basically. The creation and establishment of psychological consistency allows the person affected with cognitive dissonance to lessen mental stress by actions that reduce the magnitude of the dissonance. So it's basically saying what I said a minute ago. Dealing with this inconsistency in your life, evidence that disproves what you believe, people will take steps to fix that, to reduce the stress that they're feeling. So to do that, realize either by changing with or justifying against or being indifferent to the existential contradiction that is inducing the mental stress. So they will basically be indifferent to, or they'll ignore it. They will push it away. But addressing the fact that you were wrong about this induces that anxiety one more time. So people just don't want to address it, In practice, people reduce the magnitude of their cognitive dissonance, which is that stress, that anxiety, in 4 ways. Change the behavior or the cognition. I'll eat no more of this donut. Justify the behavior or the cognition by changing the conflicting cognition. I'm allowed to cheat my diet every once in a while. Or in the case of Qanon, justify the behavior or the cognition. They will change their beliefs to match reality, but they won't, or to match, what they see around them. But it won't be in the correct way. They'll morph it in some other, even crazier way. They'll come up with another conspiracy theory to explain what they're seeing. Number 3, justify the behavior or the cognition by adding new behavior or cognitions. I'll spend 30 extra minutes at the gym to work off the donut. Or number 4, ignore or deny information that conflicts with existing beliefs. The donut is not a high sugar food. So anyways, that's the general idea behind it. There's another set of models. That wasn't the one I was looking for, I don't think, but anyways, yeah, that's generally how it works. It's sad to see people refusing to accept the reality around them. Dude, I ended up in the wrong spot. I was not paying attention on Breath of the Wild, and I was supposed to be going toward something totally different. I need to turn around. I have no idea where the hell I am. Anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought. Let me know if you thought it was interesting too, if you want to see more stuff like this. Oh my God, dude, look. One American News Network exposed their WordPress sitemap to the search engine, and it showed up. The XML document showed up. Oh, that's hilarious. In Google search. One American News is terrible. What was that link? OANN.com. Let's see if we can hack into their WordPress. No, we're not going to do that. They do have it open, though, apparently. You can actually... I mean, you're not supposed to be able to access this if you aren't, like, one of the administration. That's really funny.